Have you ever wondered why human babies cry at birth? Dr. Penny Brightworth asked the assembled Galactic Science Council, her wild red hair practically vibrating with excitement. No, really. Have you? The council members exchanged uncomfortable glances across their floating platforms. 3 of them didn't even have eyes to exchange glances with, but they managed it anyway. Dr. Brightworth rumbled High Councillor Gravitax, his gaseous form condensing slightly in irritation. We are aware that human infants vocalize upon emerging from their biological containment units. Wombs, Penny corrected automatically. We call them wombs. And yes, babies cry at birth. But why? Every other species in the known galaxy either emerges silent, chirping with joy, or making their species equivalent of a satisfied burp. Only humans come out crying. Crying. From the back of the chamber came a mechanical click whir. Statistical analysis confirms. Human infants 99.9% crying rate at birth. All other known sentient species 0.0003% crying rate. Conclusion: humans are dramatic. Penny shot a grateful look at her research partner. KL4P-TAR4P was a Class 7 research assistant bot who had been assigned to her 3 years ago after her last assistant quit. Something about unsafe working conditions. And refusing to be used as a human shield during the Martian dust bunny incident. Honestly, some people just weren't cut out for xenobiology. Thank you, KL4P-TAR4P, Penny said. But it's more than drama. I've analyzed the crying patterns of over 10,000 human babies. How did you acquire this data? Interrupted Councillor Zizing, her antennae twitching suspiciously. Oh, you know. Hospital records. Birthing center videos. That week I spent hiding in the maternity ward air vents. Penny waved her hand dismissively. The point is, these aren't random cries. There's a pattern, a language. It's like they're remembering something. The council chamber erupted in murmurs, whooshes, and one very distinctive mechanical facepalm from KL4P-TAR4P. Dr. Brightworth Gravitax's voice cut through the chaos. Are you suggesting that human infants possess some form of inherited memory? That they emerge from their biological containment units with pre-existing knowledge? Exactly, Penny beamed. Finally, someone gets it. And not just any memories. These patterns suggest something profound, something ancient, something that every single human baby mourns the moment they're born. Probability of Dr. Brightworth's theory being correct 0.0001%. KL4P-TAR4P announced. Probability of this leading to another incident requiring emergency evacuation procedures 87.3%. Your lack of faith is noted. You oversized calculator, Penny muttered. Then, louder, I can prove it. All I need is permission to access the ancestral memory scanner. The council's reaction was immediate and unified absolute horror. The AMS is strictly forbidden, Gravitax thundered, his gaseous form turning a dangerous shade of puce. After the great hamster uprising of 2157, when we discovered what they were really planning. Yes, we all remember the hamsters, Penny interrupted. But this is different. This is human babies. What's the worst that could happen? KL4P-TAR4P's processors whirred in what could only be described as a mechanical sigh, creating list of worst possible scenarios, sorted by catastrophic potential. That was rhetorical, Penny hissed. Request denied. Dr. Brightworth Gravitax declared. This line of research ends now. The crying of human infants is clearly nothing more than a biological quirk, like the Venusian's tendency to explode when embarrassed or the Plutonian's third nostril. But, end of discussion. This council has more pressing matters to attend to, like the mysterious disappearance of all the left socks in the Andromeda Galaxy. As the council members began to disconnect, Penny felt her hopes deflating. Then she caught KL4P-TAR4P's optical sensors glowing with what she'd learned to recognize as his "I know you're about to do something stupid, and I'm going to help anyway" look. Traditional scientific channels closed, the bot stated. Alternative methods of investigation numerous. Probability of maintaining employment after next course of action 12.7%. Penny's grin returned full force. KL4P-TAR4P, my metallic friend. Are you suggesting we break into the most secure facility in the galaxy to scan a baby's brain? Negative. I am suggesting we requisition proper authorization through legitimate channels. A pause, while simultaneously preparing backup plans involving unauthorized access. This is why you're my favorite assistant. I am your only assistant. Previous 17 resigned, transferred, or in therapy. And so began what would later be known as the Great Baby Brain Scandal of 2275. But at that moment, standing in the slowly emptying council chamber with her faithful robot companion, Dr. Penny Brightworth had no idea she was about to uncover the greatest secret in human history. Or that it would involve so many diapers. Getting unauthorized access to the ancestral memory scanner turned out to be surprisingly easy. Apparently, nobody expected someone to actually want to break into a facility whose main purpose was analyzing the genetic memories of space hamsters. Security protocols at the Galactic Archive of Forbidden Knowledge are inadequate, KL4PTR4PTR4P noted as they wheeled the massive scanner down the hospital corridor. They'd disguised it as a snack vending machine, which worked perfectly until someone tried to buy a bag of chips and received a printout of their great-great-grandmother's favorite recipes instead. Less critiquing. More scanning, Penny whispered, peeking around the corner. The volunteer babies are waiting in room 7. And their parents are getting antsy. Do you know how hard it is to find people willing to let you scan their newborn's ancestral memories? Considering your recruitment method was posting free baby brain scans flyers in the hospital cafeteria surprisingly successful. They managed to get the scanner into the room, where 5 sets of new parents waited with their infants. Penny had selected them carefully, ensuring a diverse sample group. There was a traditional Earth couple, a human-alien hybrid family, 2 single parents, one of whom swore their baby's other parent was a ghost, but Penny decided not to question that, and a pair of robots who had somehow adopted a human baby and refused to explain how. Ladies, gentlemen, and quantum uncertainties, Penny announced, thank you for participating in this totally authorized and completely legal study. Who wants to go first? The ghost baby parent raised their hand. Quick question, will this void our baby's warranty? Babies don't have warranties, Penny started to say, but KL4PTR4P interrupted. Standard infant warranty covers first 3 months, unless voided by unauthorized memory scanning. Suggest reading fine print next time. Before anyone could process that disturbing information, the door burst open. A tall, shadowy figure glided in, wearing what appeared to be the galaxy's most bureaucratic black cloak. Dr. Brightworth, the figure intoned in a voice that somehow sounded like paperwork feels. I am Administrator Void of the Department of Things Humans Shouldn't Know About. Penny blinked. That's a real department. We also handled the Tooth Fairy conspiracy and why cats always know when you're about to use the bathroom. But that's classified. Administrator Void pulled out a stack of forms that seemed to absorb light. I'm here to shut down this unauthorized research. Unauthorized. But I have permits, Penny protested, pulling out a handful of crumpled papers. KL4PTR4P scanned them. These are coupons for free frozen yogurt. I knew I should have read them more carefully. Penny turned to Administrator Void. Look, we're on the verge of a breakthrough. These babies' crying patterns match ancient linguistic structures that predate human civilization. They're remembering something. Remembering what one of the robot parents asked, gently rocking their mysteriously acquired infant. That's what we're going to find out, Penny declared, diving for the scanner's control panel. Quick, KL4PTR4P. Initialize the memory sequence. Initiating severely ill-advised procedure. KL4PTR4P confirmed. Their circuits humming with what might have been excitement or just poor maintenance. Administrator Void moved to stop them, but slipped on a conveniently placed baby bottle. As they fell, their cloak fluttered open, revealing 17 different types of bureaucratic identification badges and a world's okayest cosmic secret keeper mug. The scanner hummed to life, its lights casting a soft glow over the nearest baby. The infant, who had been contentedly drooling moments before, suddenly focused with an intensity no newborn should possess. Processing ancestral memory patterns, KL4PTR4P announced. Warning, detecting unprecedented levels of dramatic backstory. Those readings can't be right. Administrator Void gasped, struggling to their feet. They're off the charts. No species should have that much historical baggage. The baby opened its mouth, and everyone leaned in expectantly. This was it, the moment they'd uncover the ancient secret behind human infant crying. The baby sneezed. The scanner exploded. When the smoke cleared, Penny was hanging upside down from a ceiling light fixture. KL4P-TAR4P-TAR4P had somehow ended up wearing 3 diapers, and Administrator Void was covered in what everyone hoped was baby powder. "Well," Penny said brightly, "that was informative." "How?" Administrator Void demanded. "The scanner is destroyed, the babies are all giggling instead of crying, and my cloak is ruined. Do you know how hard it is to dry clean shadows?" "But don't you see?" Penny swung down from the light, her hair somehow even wilder than before. "The scanner didn't explode because it failed. It exploded because it found something too big to process. Something in human genetic memory that's so massive, so important, that even our most advanced technology can't handle it." Analyzing remaining data fragments, KL4P-TAR4P announced, removing the diapers from their optical sensors, detecting traces of, impossible, detecting traces of grade 7 classified information. Administrator Void went completely still. "Did you say grade 7? Grade 7, Penny asked. "What's grade 7? "Something you absolutely cannot know about," Administrator Void said, already reaching for their emergency paperwork dispenser. "This research ends now. Everyone in this room will need to fill out Form 27,006,000,006, agreement to forget everything including this form." But Penny wasn't listening. She was staring at the babies, all of whom had suddenly stopped giggling and were looking at each other with what could only be described as ancient wisdom. Or gas. It was probably gas. But maybe, just maybe, it was the first clue to unraveling humanity's greatest secret. "KL4P-TAR4P, she whispered. "I think we're going to need more diapers." "Remind me again why we're breaking into the Galaxy Mega Mall food court at 3 a.m. KL4P-TAR4P-TAR4P asked, their servos whirring quietly as they helped Penny climb through a ventilation shaft. "Because," Penny grunted, pulling herself past what appeared to be a fossilized space burrito, according to the fragments of data we salvaged from the scanner. "There's a genetic marker in human DNA that matches something called the Ancient Ones, and the only reference to them I could find was in the original building permit for Spacies, the mall's oldest fast food joint. Erection's second oldest. Greg's quantum quiches predates it by 3 days. Greg's doesn't count. They exist in a state of temporal uncertainty. They technically haven't been built yet, and also went out of business 50 years ago." They emerged into the darkened food court, where hundreds of empty tables gleamed under the artificial starlight that served as the mall's night lighting. The only sound was the gentle hum of the anti-gravity generators and the distinct squish, squish, squish of something in the Neptunian noodle shop's dumpster. "Target location identified," KL4P-TAR4P announced, pointing to a decrepit storefront. The sign read Spacey's home of the original human-style burger, though someone had scratched out human-style and written suspicious above it. Penny approached the counter, pulling out her xenoarchaeology kit. The scanner detected traces of ancient genetic code in human babies that matches fragments found in artifacts across the galaxy. But they all seemed random, useless until I realized they were receipt codes. "Receipt codes," KL4P-TAR4P, TIA4P repeated flatly. "Yes." Look, Penny pulled out a holographic display showing strings of genetic markers. "These sequences aren't random, they're menu items. The Ancient Ones didn't just leave behind genetic memories, they left behind their entire civilization encoded in fast food orders. That is simultaneously the most ridiculous and most plausible theory you have ever proposed." Before Penny could respond, a familiar shadowy form materialized by the frozen yogurt station. Step away from the counter, Dr. Brightworth, Administrator Void, emerged from the darkness, wielding what appeared to be a heavily armed stapler. "This is a restricted historical site." "The food court?" Penny asked incredulously. "Specifically, that suspicious stain by Register 3. We believe it's all that remains of the original Ancient One's first attempt at coffee." Administrator Void glided forward. "Do you have any idea what you're meddling with?" "Well, I was hoping to order a burger and unlock the secrets of human genetic memory. But I'm starting to think this might be bigger than that." "Much bigger," Administrator Void confirmed. "The Ancient Ones weren't just any civilization. They were the first, the greatest, the ones who figured out how to supersize the universe itself." Penny's eyes widened. "Are you saying?" "Yes. They invented fast food. And then they disappeared. leaving behind only genetic traces, cryptic warnings about something called a drive-through and the most dangerous artifact in the known galaxy, which is the secret source recipe. KL4P-TAR4P's processor's word in alarm, detecting massive energy signature, source behind the soft drink dispenser. Penny vaulted over the counter, ignoring Administrator Void's shouts about proper food service area entry protocols. There, hidden behind decades of sticky syrup residue, was a panel covered in ancient symbols. These markings, she breathed. They're the same pattern as human infant crying. KL4P-TAR4P, scan them. Scanning. Translating. Warning: translation contains excessive use of the phrase, "Would you like fries with that?" The panel began to glow, and suddenly the entire food court was filled with holographic images. They showed a mighty civilization, beings of pure energy who had mastered the art of convenient dining. They spread across the galaxy, bringing their culture to countless worlds. But something happened, Administrator Void said quietly. Something that made them give it all up. Their power, their technology, their perfect recipe for crispy fries that never get soggy. They became human, Penny whispered. They chose to start over. But why? What could be so terrible that an entire civilization would choose to be born as crying babies? Before anyone could answer, the soft drink machine exploded. But instead of soda, it sprayed pure genetic code into the air, the complete, unchanged DNA of the Ancient Ones. Quick, Penny shouted. KL4P-TAR4P, analyze it. Processing. Processing. Oh my. What? What is it? According to this data, the Ancient Ones didn't just choose to become human. They were forced to. By their own creation. Something so powerful, so overwhelming, that it threatened to destroy the very fabric of space-time itself. The secret source, Administrator Void asked. No, KL4P-TAR4P replied solemnly. Something far worse. They invented the all-you-can-eat buffet. Penny stared at the swirling genetic code, watching humanity's true history unfold. The Ancient Ones realized what they'd done. The buffet was too powerful. It defied the laws of physics, economics, and common sense. So they made the ultimate sacrifice. They gave up their powers, Administrator Void nodded. Encoded their memories in their DNA, turned themselves into a new species that would have to evolve from scratch, and sealed away the knowledge of unlimited food access forever. Until now, Penny said. Because every human baby is born remembering that sacrifice. They cry not from pain, but from the ancestral memory of having to give up unlimited breadsticks. The three of them stood in silence, surrounded by the holographic remnants of a civilization that had traded godlike power for the chance to stand in line at the DMV. Then the mall's security alarm went off. Time to go. Penny grabbed as many ancient receipt printouts as she could carry. KL4P-TAR4P, initiate emergency exit protocol. Executing protocol, run away really fast. As they fled, Administrator Void called after them, this isn't over, Dr. Brightworth. The secret of the Ancient Ones buffet must remain buried. Too late, Penny shouted back. Humanity's about to remember everything. Also, we might have broken the frozen yogurt machine. Behind them, in the darkness of the food court, the ancient stain by Register 3 began to bubble ominously. The truth was out there, and it came with a side of fries. News travels fast in the galaxy, especially when it involves ancient civilizations, fast food, and the potential awakening of dormant superpowers. Within hours of the food court incident, Penny found herself addressing an emergency session of the Galactic Council, this time with significantly more security guards and significantly less patience. Let me get this straight, High Counselor Gravitax rumbled, his gaseous form practically steaming with irritation. You're telling us that humans are descended from the Ancient Ones, the legendary beings who could bend reality to their will, and they gave it all up because they invented a buffet that was too powerful. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds ridiculous, Penny admitted. The truth is much more complicated. KL4P-TAR4P, show them what we found in the ancient receipt codes. KL4P-TAR4P projected a holographic display of intertwined DNA strands and menu items. Analysis confirms Ancient Ones possessed reality warping abilities. Primary powers included energy manipulation, matter reconstruction, and getting exact change without checking their pockets. But the buffet was their masterpiece, Penny continued. A feat of engineering that broke the fundamental laws of physics. Infinite food in a finite space. It violated conservation of mass, energy, and good taste. The power was too great, too tempting. They knew that if it spread, it would consume everything. From the shadows of the council chamber, Administrator Void emerged, now wearing what appeared to be every single bureaucratic credential in existence. Dr. Brightworth is correct, though it pains me to admit it. The Ancient Ones made a choice: maintain their godlike powers and watch the universe succumb to unlimited breadsticks, or sacrifice everything to save reality itself. They chose sacrifice, Penny said softly. They encoded their powers into their DNA, locked away behind evolutionary safeguards. They became human, knowing they would have to start from scratch, build civilization again from the ground up. And every human baby born since then carries that memory, the moment of sacrifice. The giving up of infinite power for the greater good. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Several members began floating involuntarily. One turned into a potted plant out of sheer surprise. Order Gravitax thundered. If what you're saying is true, then every human infant is born remembering what their species gave up. Penny finished. That's why they cry. It's not pain, it's the echo of the greatest sacrifice in galactic history. But now they remember, Administrator Void said grimly. Thanks to your meddling, the truth is out. Do you have any idea what this means? That humanity will reclaim its heritage as reality-warping space gods. Worse. They'll want to reopen the buffet. As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the council chamber. Holographic screens materialized, showing scenes from across Earth and its colonies. Humans everywhere were experiencing sudden flashbacks, remembering their true heritage. Status report KL4P-TAR4P announced. Multiple incidents of spontaneous reality manipulation detected. 3 humans have accidentally turned their cars into spaceships. 7 have created pocket dimensions in their closets. 1 person in Milwaukee has achieved infinite pasta. Administrator Void pulled out an emergency stack of forms. This is exactly what we feared. Quick, everyone must fill out Form 42X, voluntary surrender of cosmic power and acceptance of limited lunch options. But it was too late. The awakening had begun. We have to do something, Gravitax exclaimed. The fabric of reality itself is at stake. Penny watched the chaos unfolding on the screens, her scientist mind racing. Then she noticed something odd. Wait a minute. Look at the humans who are awakening their powers. What are they doing with them? KL4P-TAR4P analyzed the footage. Processing. 67% are using reality warping abilities to help others. 22% are solving minor inconveniences. 10% are trying to recreate discontinued snack foods. 1% are attempting to make their cat speak English. Don't you see? Penny turned to the council. The Ancient Ones didn't just pass down their powers, they passed down their wisdom. The very act of giving up those powers taught humanity something valuable. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Administrator Void stopped distributing forms. Are you suggesting that the sacrifice itself was the point? That it made humanity better? Exactly. Look at human history. We're constantly choosing to limit our power for the greater good. Treaties, laws, agreeing not to put pineapple on pizza. Processing historical data. KL4P-TAR4P interjected. Conclusion: humans are uniquely capable of responsibly handling unlimited power, specifically because they know the importance of giving it up. The council chamber fell silent as this revelation sank in. Even the member who had turned into a potted plant seemed thoughtful, rustling their leaves contemplatively. So what do we do now? Gravitax asked. Before anyone could answer, a small voice piped up from the back of the chamber. Everyone turned to see a human baby, somehow having crawled into the most secure facility in the galaxy, sitting up and looking at them with ancient wisdom in its eyes. The baby spoke, its voice carrying the weight of eons. Goo goo ga. But also, maybe we should trust humanity to find its own path forward, just as our ancestors did. There was a long pause. Did that baby just solve our existential crisis? Administrator Void asked weakly. And did it do so while needing a diaper change? Penny added. KL4P-TAR4P's processor's word. Analyzing profound cosmic wisdom to baby babble ratio perfectly balanced. The council members looked at each other, then at the baby, then at the continuing reports of humans awakening to their heritage across the galaxy. Finally, Gravitax spoke. Very well. We will not interfere with humanity's awakening. But Dr. Brightworth, you will be personally responsible for ensuring this transition goes smoothly. Me, Penny squeaked. What am I supposed to do? You uncovered this truth. Now you must help your species navigate it. Also, please do something about that person in Milwaukee. Infinite pasta is a violation of at least 7 universal constants. As the council session ended and reality itself adjusted to humanity's remembering, Penny turned to KL4P-TR4P, partner ready to help guide humanity into its new era as reformed cosmic entities. Calculating chances of this ending in disaster 99.9%, and the other 0.1%. Total reality collapse. Also, we're out of diapers again. Administrator Void watched them leave, then pulled out one final form. On it, they wrote note to self: next time a species evolves from all-powerful beings, make sure they don't put all their secrets in a fast food restaurant. The baby crawled over and added a postscript, and remember, no unlimited breadsticks. Day 1 of humanity's awakening began, appropriately enough, in a daycare center. Now remember, children, Miss Maple was saying to her class of toddlers, today we're learning about sharing, and Jimmy, please stop levitating the building. Penny burst through the door, followed by KL4P-TR4P and a very disheveled Administrator Void. They found 20 preschoolers floating near the ceiling, each surrounded by a different colored aura of cosmic power. Situation assessment: KL4P-TR4P announced. Number of reality warping toddlers 20. Number of toys transformed into sentient beings 47. Number of snack times occurring simultaneously in parallel dimensions 3. Could be worse, Penny said optimistically. The goldfish crackers have achieved consciousness and are demanding voting rights, Miss Maple added weakly. Okay. That's worse. Administrator Void pulled out their emergency clipboard. This is exactly what we feared. The youngest humans are remembering first, their minds still close enough to their ancestral memories to access the full power of the ancient ones. Do you know what happens when you give godlike powers to beings who still think eating paste is a valid life choice? As if to answer, one of the toddlers sneezed, accidentally turning gravity into grape jelly for a 3-block radius. Everyone stay calm, Penny announced. I have experience dealing with potentially catastrophic situations involving small children. You've been in this exact situation before, Miss Maple asked hopefully. No, but I once had to explain to a group of kindergartners why they couldn't keep the alien blob monster they found in the playground. Same principle, really. KL4P-TR4P's sensors detected movement from the toy corner, warning the stuffed animals have formed a labor union. A small teddy bear wearing a hastily made protest sign waddled up to them. We demand better working conditions and premium stuffing options. Not now, Theodore Penny said firmly. We're dealing with a reality crisis. This is why we need unions, the bear grumbled, waddling back to its picket line. Meanwhile, little Sarah in the corner had managed to create a small universe in her juice box. Look, she exclaimed proudly. I made life. That's lovely, dear Miss Maple said automatically, then did a double take. Wait, what? Penny rushed over to examine the juice box. Inside, an entire civilization was evolving, already reaching their industrial revolution. Fascinating. They've already invented the wheel, democracy, and apparently, mini-golf. The ancient ones did have a fondness for recreational sports, Administrator Void admitted. KL4P-TR4P's processors whirred in alarm. Alert detecting temporal anomaly in the nap room. Someone has accelerated time around their blanket fort. They found young Timothy had created a blanket fort that existed in all time periods simultaneously. Dragons flew past dinosaurs while robots from the future played chess with knights from the Middle Ages. Time and space are more of a suggestion, really, Timothy explained, showing wisdom far beyond his 4 years. Then he put a crayon up his nose. We need to contain this, Administrator Void declared. The very fabric of reality is already contained, Penny interrupted, having an epiphany. Look around. Yes, they're warping reality, but they're doing it within the rules they understand. Share your toys. Don't hit. Nap time is non-negotiable. She was right. Despite having powers that could reshape galaxies, The toddlers were still following basic daycare rules. One had even created a quantum duplicate of their favorite toy so everyone could have a turn. Processing behavioral patterns KL4P TR4P observed. Cosmic power usage adhering to preschool social norms. Conclusion: humanity's reset to childhood wasn't a downgrade, it was an upgrade in progress. Exactly, Penny beamed. The Ancient Ones didn't just give up their powers, they chose to relearn how to use them responsibly, starting from the very beginning. With sharing circles and timeout corners. Administrator Void watched as a group of children used their reality warping abilities to clean up after art time, making sure every crayon went back in the box. So you're saying the daycare rules are actually the foundation for responsible cosmic power usage. Don't take what's not yours, help others, and always wash your hands after rearranging the molecular structure of the universe. Just then, the Teddy Bear Union representative returned. We've voted to postpone our strike in light of the current reality crisis. Also, nap time is in 5 minutes. As if by magic or possibly actual reality warping, all the floating toddlers began to yawn. Their auras dimmed, cosmic powers temporarily forgotten in favor of the universal constant that is nap time. See, Penny gestured triumphantly. They're already learning to balance their powers with their responsibilities. Primary directive achieved through unexpected means, KL4PTR4P noted. Though we should probably do something about the Juicebox civilization. They've just discovered nuclear fusion. Miss Maple clapped her hands gently. All right, everyone. Time to put away your extra-dimensional constructs and get your mats. Yes, even you, Jimmy. The building has to come down sometime. As the children settled down for their nap, Penny, KL4PTR4P, and Administrator Void watched in amazement. The future of humanity's cosmic powers was being shaped not in some grand battlefield or celestial temple, but in a simple daycare center, one timeout at a time. I suppose Administrator Void admitted, this isn't the worst possible outcome. Then a small voice piped up from the nap mats, Miss Maple. Theodore the Bear is trying to unionize my imaginary friends. Never mind. 1 year after the Great Awakening, the Galactic Council held its first Human Integration Summit. The main conference room had been specially reinforced to withstand reality warping, which turned out to be unnecessary since humanity had mostly figured out how to control their powers through a combination of meditation, self-help books, and strongly worded daycare rules. Order. Please, High Counselor, Gravitax announced to the assembled delegates. The Council recognizes Dr. Penny Brightworth, Earth's ambassador of cosmic responsibility and part-time preschool consultant. Penny stepped up to the podium, a wild red hair now streaked with what looked suspiciously like cosmic energy and finger paint. Thank you, Counselor. I'm pleased to report that humanity's transition to their ancestral powers has been largely successful, with only minor reality hiccups. Define minor, someone called from the back. Well, the Milwaukee Infinite Pasta incident has been resolved, though we're still finding spontaneous spaghetti in unexpected places. And yes, someone did accidentally create a parallel universe where everything is made of cheese, but we've classified that as a cultural heritage site. KL4P-TAR4P, now sporting a crossing guard vest and a reality safety first badge, displayed the latest statistics. Human power usage has stabilized at acceptable levels. 95% of reality alterations are now properly permitted and documented in triplicate. From their new desk in the Department of Human Power Management, formerly things humans shouldn't know about, Administrator Void nodded approvingly. Their cloak now featured cheerful motivational buttons, saying things like cosmic power responsibly and ask me about reality warping permits. I have to admit, they said, humans have shown remarkable restraint. No one has tried to recreate the dreaded all-you-can-eat buffet. Though we did have that incident with the self-refilling coffee mug. We don't talk about the coffee mug, everyone agreed simultaneously. But just as the meeting was wrapping up, a junior researcher burst into the chamber, waving a data pad frantically. Dr. Brightworth, we've made a breakthrough in the ancestral memory analysis. What? What did you find? We've been wrong all along. The Ancient Ones didn't give up their powers because of the buffet. That was just a cover story. The real reason was ice cream. The chamber fell silent. Even the quantum fluctuations held their breath. Ice cream, Penny repeated incredulously. The researcher nodded. The one food that the ancient ones, with all their reality warping powers, could never figure out how to eat in zero gravity. It kept floating away, melting at unexpected angles, causing temporal brain freeze. It was their one unsolvable problem. Processing historical data KL4P tar 4P tar 4P announced. Cross-referencing with baby crying patterns. Correlation found. They're not crying from the memory of giving up cosmic powers. They're crying because they remember giving up their powers and still not being able to eat ice cream in space, Penny exclaimed. Administrator Void slumped in their chair. All this time. The forms, the regulations, the cosmic power restrictions, and it was about ice cream. The ultimate sacrifice, the researcher confirmed. They chose to become human, hoping that maybe, over millions of years of evolution, their descendants would finally figure out how to enjoy a proper sundae in zero gravity. The council erupted in chaos. Gravitax had to condense himself 3 times just to restore order. Finally, Penny stepped forward again. Well, she said, I guess there's only one thing to do. 6 months later, the first human alien ice cream social was held in orbit around Earth. Using their restored cosmic powers, humans had finally cracked the code, a way to enjoy ice cream in space that didn't violate the laws of physics much. As Penny floated near the window, watching diplomats from 1,000 worlds bond over perfectly engineered zero-gravity ice cream cones, she felt a tug on her sleeve. It was KL4P tar 4P, now equipped with a built-in ice cream scoop. Mission accomplished, the robot asked. Almost, Penny replied. Just one last thing. She turned to Administrator Void, who was cautiously enjoying their first ever hot fudge sundae while filling out the appropriate paperwork for caloric intake in space. You know, Penny said, we never did figure out what happened to that person who turned gravity into grape jelly. Oh, that Administrator Void smiled mysteriously. Let's just say some things are better left as classified. Though I will note that the Department of Temporal Desserts is always hiring. And somewhere in the galaxy, a baby was being born. As it took its first breath, it remembered the great sacrifice of its ancestors and then realized it had been born into a world where ice cream in space was finally possible. For the first time in human history, it didn't cry. It laughed,